Hey, this is Professor Greeneisen, and I wanted to check in with you as we near the end of the term. This was a really fast semester, as you know, and you did a lot of work to get to this point. So congratulations on reaching this point in the term. And you'll notice that the due dates are all very intentional at this point because I need to be able to have time to go through material, and the proposal, which is coming due, is a significant piece of work. And I know that it's barely enough time to get it done in the accelerated semesters, but I think it's doable. I think it's been done and it can be done. And I know it's a lot of work, and I appreciate all the work that you all are doing. I want to go ahead and share my screen and take a look at a couple of the assignments that we've just completed, and answer some questions and provide some explanations for things, and take a look at that proposal so that you at least have the benefit of my talking about it in front of you while we're getting that figured out. Okay, so let me go ahead and share my desktop with you, and you should see here, you should see our canvas. I'm just going to go down to the weeks 5, 6, and week 7, 8 here to look at the analytical report. I'm not really going to look at it. This is already done, and in the analytical report, as you read in the instructions, that you are identifying some kind of an issue or some kind of a way things exist in the world, and you're gathering data and research, and you're gathering other people's interpretations of that and data, and you're interpreting your own sense of interpreting the data, and you are putting together a report, which, you know, as many things in this class have been an option to create something like a pamphlet. Information gets put into something that maybe has multiple columns, or it's more text-based, which is okay as well. Whether or not you're doing text-based or something that's more sort of visually stylistic, either way, don't overlook the importance of using graphics to help convey information. Charts and graphs are great ways to visually display numbers. Numbers on a page are mind-numbing. People blank out over them. They don't. It's hard to read, hard to follow. But a chart can show you, a pie chart can show you a percentage out of all the people, X percent, or this number of people. So it gives us a way to very quickly analyze information. And this is really what you're doing. You are conveying information to a reader in every project that you do. And so you want to convey that information in the most efficient and effective way. And visuals and graphics help us to do this. Remember, if you use a visual in your text or in your document, you provide a label for it, and you should refer to that visual within the narrative or the text of the document. So you don't just stick a graph there and figure that we know why it's there. You need, in some portion of the writing of the document, you will say, figure 4 shows a graph of the number of people who are registered to vote out of the number of people possible to register to vote, as an example, to use a very current example of a statistic we might want to see. And so the analytical report can be the foundation for the proposal, but it doesn't have to be. But if you're really wanting to maximize the efficiency of your work, you would use it for that. Because so for example, you might gather data on the problems of individuals speeding on, and I'm just going to pick a street at random, 59th Avenue Drive West in Bradenton. I don't know if that's even a street. Say it's a street in a neighborhood and you're analyzing it. You could go and sit outside every day and watch and estimate the number of cars that exceed the speed limit according to some measurement that you've created, even if it's an observation. You could create a graph of excessive speeding, slight speeding, and then at speed, for instance. And so you have 3 different ways maybe of measuring it. So you take the data, and that data then goes to, and then, so say, for instance, maybe I do some more research and find the number of traffic accidents on that street. And this, I know this was something that 26th Street, which I used to live at the north end of 26th Street and drive straight down 26th Street to the college. And there were spans of time where every day, at the moment I was driving down there, I would see an accident. So there was tons of data on the number of accidents that occurred on 26th Street. And then the number of fatalities in those accidents on 26th Street. So let's switch streets to 26th Street as an example. So I would take all that data and I would say, where do these accidents occur? And I would maybe create some visuals to show how many accidents occurred as a result of left turns, how many accidents occurred at traffic intersections, how many accidents occurred with cars exiting parking lots that empty onto 26th Street. And then I use that information to create a proposal. So in a way, a proposal is kind of based on an analytical report. Whether or not, again, it's your official one for the class or not, that's up to you. But if you choose another topic, you're going to make more work for yourself, because you're going to have to kind of go back and sort of devise an analytical report to base a proposal off of. A proposal is an ask for funding in order to either fix a problem or to improve a certain situation or scenario. Now, one way to look at a proposal is to ask for funding for something that you will then return a greater amount of funding based on. You're making an operation more efficient, or you're doing something that will bring in more customers, or you're doing something that will increase visibility. So maybe an advertising campaign. So you could do something very, very, capitalist and very, very closely related to turning a greater profit. And so saying investing in this proposal will return a greater profit to the company. And that's one way to write a proposal. Another way to write a proposal is to improve the scenario, which could be something like a social issue, like, reducing homelessness, or providing for shelters for providing for shelters for displaced people, or providing for shelters for like I lived in a neighborhood once where we had a lot of stray cats. So maybe a proposal that would rehome stray cats, or to try to find a place for feral cats to live, something like that. So, humanitarian and artistic, like something to really bolster, some kind of artistic opportunities in a neighborhood. So maybe there would be a local community theater who you're proposing funding to make available to elementary school kids, or something like that. And so you can actually use something that doesn't have to return on investment a necessary financial gain, but something that's going to intrinsically beautify an area, or it's going to make opportunities available for growth in the humanities. These are all legitimate ways to approach. So someone had emailed me and asked me, so the progress report, is this a progress report on, is this asking about our progress in the class? And my answer was no. And I realized as I looked over it that might be the way it could be interpreted. So what I intended the progress report to address is your progress in the proposal. So it was a way of me, two reasons to do this. One, it allows me to see where you are in terms of the proposal. Progress report is three questions and answers. What have I done? What am I doing now? What do I need to do to finish this? All right, those three can be 3 paragraphs. It doesn't have to be long. These can be less than a page. Frequently, if you have someone who knows that they're going to be, reviewing this, it's asking, say, you're in the middle of this proposal and I'm laying out some funding for you. I want to know that you're on track. So I want to know, what have you done? You've called the people you need to call. You've coordinated the data that you need to coordinate. Or you're waiting for someone to return your call and your data, or what have you. And then currently, maybe I've done this, and now I'm working on assembling the material, or I have some accountants tabulating the results of this, or whatever it is, right? not that you have accountants working on your school project, but as we think of this progress report as something larger that might be part of your career, for instance. And then, so what do I need to do? Well, I need to receive this particular data, and I plan on receiving that on Friday, and then over the weekend, I'm going to collate the data and measure that data against costs and blah blah blah, whatever. So, anyways, that's the progress report. For one, it allows me to see that. And when I say me, I mean me as a teacher, but out in the world, I mean also me as a potential investor or a stakeholder in this project, or your supervisor, and you're working on a proposal and your supervisor says, where are you in the proposal? And you need to provide a sense of what you've done, what you're doing, what you need to do. All right, so that's the progress report for it. Now the proposal, I just want to say the proposal should include a couple of different things. All right, this should be a significant project. I don't want to see proposals for ordering, a ream of paper for the office. That's not a proposal. That's a requisition. It might even be petty cash. It might be swing by Staples on your way to the office and give me your receipt or something like that. So a proposal needs to be significant enough to demand that I would sit in a room with a bunch of people in business, dress attire, and we would have you present this to us. And typically in a semester when I'm face-to-face, I have students present the proposals to us. They stand up with PowerPoint slides and what have you. We're not doing that, but consider that, is this project significant enough that I would have to give a presentation? If not, then you want to dive into it a little further. Maybe you want to expand what you have, or it may be that what you're doing is not significant enough as a topic for this. All right. So I want to make sure that you have some time, that if that's the case, that you can shift gears if you need to. Okay. And if that's the case, please email and let me know that that's the case with you, because then I know that you have maybe a little less time, and I really may have done this a little bit earlier for you, but here I am now, letting you know that when I see the proposal, I really want this to be something that is significant enough to be proposed. First of all, that's not a requisition for some petty cash eligible purchase, or can we move the picnic table from the rear of the parking lot to the back corner of the parking lot, or something like that. I think that's not proposable. So it needs to be a proposal topic that's significant enough to be presented. I'd like proposals to include a cover page and table of contents, and that means that your proposal is how long? I don't know, 5 pages, 8 pages, 12 pages, something like that. Enough pages that you have sort of the introduction, you have the proposal itself, and then you have justification, and you might even include exhibits or appendices if you have certain information or data that you want to incorporate, but you don't want to stick it in the middle of the proposal, but you refer to it in the proposal itself. And you'd see, see Appendix 1 for an attachment of the budget for fiscal year 2017 to 2018. So that would be a place to use that. So you want it to be significant enough to be proposable. You want to incorporate things like cover page, table of contents. Your proposal needs to include 2 specific elements. One, a budget. This should be budgetable. There's a cost associated with it. The costs include any materials you have to buy. It also includes human resources costs. Even if you and your team who are going to be doing the proposal activity, even if you're salaried and you work for the company and you would show up to work anyway, when you're doing this project, if your proposal gets accepted, and this is what we're deciding, if you're doing this project, then your salary is paying you to do this, and you're not doing anything else. So if it takes you and 3 other people 6 hours to do this, right? You and 3 other people, there's 4 people, there's 6 hours, that's 24 hours of labor that you can incorporate as a cost of the project. Okay, you don't want to artificially inflate the cost or artificially deflate it, but a real sense of what it costs. We're going to need $250 of material. Itemize it. Don't tell me $250. Tell me what you're spending it on. If it's $50 on this and $50 on that and $100 on this other thing, as a decision maker, when you're presenting this proposal, if I have an itemized list, I might have an idea to save us $25. If I know I can get this item for 25 instead of 50. If it's not itemized, I have no idea. You can't just say, here's this number. So it needs a budget. The budget should probably be, for a project of this size, under $100,000. I get proposals once in a while where people are proposing $6.5 million to build a homeless shelter, which I love the idea, and I think it's a great idea. But in the process of an 8-week accelerated technical writing course, there is so much that you need to research on that in terms of liabilities, in terms of marketing and promotion, in terms of inspections that would go into even an existing building, much less new construction, in terms of feasibility studies to determine whether this is the best place to put it, to determine whether there's going to be community backlash, as there often is, to something like that, and how to overcome that. And then there's campaigns to overcome community backlash, to putting things like shelters in the community. And so oftentimes what I find myself saying to those projects is, instead of building this shelter right now, why don't you focus on a community awareness campaign, which might cost you $400, $500, $3,000, $16,000. You rent a hall, you hire security, you might have to direct traffic or something like that. You may have to take out some liability. You might run ads. And so what does advertising costs for, so you're going to maybe run an awareness campaign, or you're going to go into the schools and you're going to run a campaign, for, not, drug-free awareness campaign or something. So you can do that. That's a way to have a manageable project that you can control, that you can get some real numbers on. You can put it together. You have an objective. The objective is to go into the community and make people aware of something, or to set up a seminar that people can come to, which again involves advertising and taking out ads on radio or TV or billboards, or flyers distributed in neighborhoods. So there's all kinds of ways to really adjust the scope of a project to make sure that the project has appropriate scope. So again, I said there was 2 things that you need to address in a proposal. One is budget. And I got all off track talking about the scope of the budget, but one is the budget. The second thing that you need is a timeline of implementation. So if you don't have those things, make sure that you spend the next week or so really looking at how you can incorporate a budget and a timeline. Show the rollout. What's this going to take? Is it going to take 6 months? Is it going to be a year? Is it going to be a month? And let me know, each stage of the project that you're proposing. This awareness campaign, we will spend 3 weeks with targeted advertisements through social media, which will unroll into this such and such a date, at which point we will be contacting our guest speakers, and we will have them in place and contracted by this date. We will contact the insurance, liability insurance companies, and we will secure insurance bonds by this date, and the venue will be ready on December 19th for our whatever campaign. Okay, so I hope that gives you some direction on this. That again, these are based on some kind of specific questions I'd received from people in the last couple of days, and I responded to. If I got a question, I responded to it. But I thought maybe this is something the whole group would benefit from hearing. So anyway, again, if you have any other questions, send me an email. I check several times a day. And there's going to be a time tomorrow afternoon where I have a lull. Thursday afternoon, I have a conference presentation from 2 to 4 that I'll be presenting. But after that and before that, I should be checking email constantly. So let me know. And if there's anything else I can help you with, let me know that. And I hope you're all having a good week and a good rest of the term. I'm catching up on grading all the stuff. And so otherwise, I'll look forward to seeing your proposals.